So the Eastern Conference Finals just wrapped up, and your Miami Heat is going to the NBA Finals to face off against the Denver Nuggets. And I must say that I am thoroughly surprised. If you haven't watched my last video, which I'll put at the top right, I made a bold prediction that there was no way that Miami was getting past Boston in Game 7 after Boston came back from a 0-3 lead to tie the series in Game 6. I thought that Boston had the momentum. I thought that Jason Tatum finally found his rhythm. I thought Jaylen Brown finally found his rhythm. I thought Boston as a whole team, I thought that they figured out a strategy to face off against Miami. And clearly, Jimmy Butler showed the world that he is still him, aka Himmy Butler, aka Himmy Johns, aka him. He is him. Dropped 28 points in the series closer. Of course, Caleb Martin, arguably the second best player in all the series, I believe. Caleb Martin had a very, very good Eastern Conference Finals. Bam Adebayo, he is still MIA. I don't know where he is. I mean, he had a very quiet double-double, but only 12 points. So Al Horford kind of had the best of him throughout the series. Kyle Lowry, kind of a shell of himself. Duncan Robinson doing what he does, but clearly Jimmy Butler led the charge and Caleb Martin was pretty much the Robin to Jimmy Butler's Batman. That's all that it took to get past Boston. I know that Jason Tatum tweaked his ankle to start off the game. That may have contributed to his very lackluster performance. Still, I figured that Boston as a whole, I figured that they would have rallied up the troops. Marcus Smart would have had a little bit of a bigger game. Jaylen Brown probably would have took over. Nothing was happening for those guys. So now Denver has the advantage again. If Boston would have won Game 7, Denver would have had to start off in Boston because Boston technically had home court advantage with them having a better regular season record. Now the landscape has changed again in favor to Denver. You have Jokic, who is arguably the best player in the world, facing off against a very underperforming Bam Adebayo, which, of course, I do not think Bam is going to win that matchup against Jokic. You have Jamal Murray, who has a hot hand, which I believe that Miami have some guys that could pretty much, I wouldn't say lock down Jamal Murray, but they could give him a hard time. You put Jimmy Butler on Jamal Murray, and I think Jimmy Butler can pretty much cancel out Jamal Murray. So you have Jokic doing whatever you want to do. You have Bruce Brown with his versatility. You got Aaron Gordon, who is a great two-way player, and he proved that he was a great two-way player in the Lakers series. You still have KCP, who he has really branched off into a terrific 3-and-D player. KCP, he's definitely turned his career around for the better. He wasn't bad with the Lakers. He was a pretty decent 3-and-D player, but with Denver, this man has found his role. He's been consistently putting up 20-point games, playing great defense. He was always a great defender, even all the way back to his Detroit Piston days. But man, he has really looked remarkable with the Nuggets. And how things are looking, if I was to make a prediction, I think Denver will most likely beat the Heat. I'll say 6 games. Denver is going to be world champions. It's going to take them quite a few games because, quite frankly, Jimmy Butler, like I said early in the video, is him. I don't think he's going to let Miami go down easy, but Denver, they just have too many weapons. Jokic is unstoppable. You don't really have a good matchup to put on Jokic. You could try your best with Bam Adebayo, but there's a size mismatch, and Bam hasn't really been performing great offensively, so it will help Jokic out a little bit because he don't really have to guard him like he had to with Anthony Davis, even though AD was on and off every other game. Quite a few mismatches from what I see with Denver, and let's just compare for a little bit. So you have Jokic versus Adebayo, which I give Jokic that matchup. You got Jamal Murray against Jimmy Butler, which Jimmy Butler has to have the nod for that, even though Jamal Murray, I think he's still going to have at least 20 points per game. Those 30-pointers, 30 points in the first half, I don't think Jimmy's going for that. And let's see, Caleb Martin, Aaron Gordon. Of course, I got to go with the slight nod to Caleb Martin, even though Aaron Gordon has proven to be a great two-way player. And I think Aaron Gordon may have quite a few looks on Jimmy Butler throughout the next series. It's going to be interesting to see how Jimmy Butler reacts from that. And then, of course, the rest of the roster, nothing really to be noted on the Heat side. KCP, don't have anyone that could guard him. Bruce Brown coming off the bench, don't have anyone that could guard him. And that's pretty much the bulk of the star power for Denver. And Miami, lackluster, to say the least. So I'm very thoroughly surprised. Of course, I was proven wrong in the series. I thought Boston was taking it, and they didn't. And now Boston have a lot of soul searching to do during the offseason, and they have some riddles to solve. Boston has to decide if they want to move forward with this two-way duo between Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, because it's not working. It's not working. It works in a regular season, but in the playoffs, Boston Celtics, they're equivalent. And I was thinking about this shortly after the game was over, but Boston Celtics, they're kind of equivalent to what the Indianapolis Colts were in the early 2000s. They always make it to the big game. They always make it to the big moment. But who is going to take them over that hump? That question has yet to be answered. And that's the answer that Joe Mazzulla and Brad Stevens have to solve in the offseason. Who is going to be the one to take them over the hump? Personally, I'm a fan of both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Of course, double J's, it's John TV right here, double J, but they haven't been able to answer that question with multiple Eastern Conference Finals appearances and an NBA Finals appearance. So very long off season, but it's going to be a very interesting NBA Finals now. I got Denver in 6, so I'm going to go ahead and do another video leading up to the NBA Finals. Appreciate you watching. Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this. Let me know your opinion and what you think in the comments down below. Love you. Peace.